Hello and welcome to Technology Made Clear. Today we'll be looking at the layout in Microsoft Excel. It's always a good idea whenever you're going to start using a new software package to make sure you're confident with the layout of the actual program that you're looking to, teach yourself how to use. So here, as you can see, when you open up Excel, this is the first thing you will always see. And at the top there, you can see it's Book 1, Microsoft Excel. Now the Book 1 is the workbook, and when you save the file in your hard drive, whatever you save the file as, that will change that as well. And then you've got your worksheet. So every workbook has worksheets, and you can see them down here. There's sheet 1, sheet 2 and sheet 3. So look at worksheets as in pages in a book. So the workbook is the book and the worksheets are the pages. So that what you'd be working on is the worksheets. It comes with 3 worksheets as standard, but you can delete worksheets if you want to, or you can add more worksheets if you want to. You can rename worksheets, you can change the color of worksheets. When you first start using Excel, you may only use one worksheet because you most likely be doing basic calculations at first, and that's definitely what we would be showing you on this website, basic calculations at first, but obviously going more and more advanced as it goes on. So just to show you quickly, to rename a worksheet, you can double click on it like that, and as you can see it's highlighted a text, which means you could then just start typing on your keyboard and putting in a new name, or you can right click on the worksheet and go to rename. They both do the same function really. So maybe if we change this to calculations like that, and then as it says you can delete sheets, so if we delete, there you go, it's got rid of that. Or you want to add, just click on that. Now it's gone to sheet 4 because sheet 3 we deleted. So the next one will be sheet 5, sheet 6 and so on. You can move sheets around as well. You just left click on the sheet that you want to move and drag it left to right wherever you want it. So if we dropped it there, you could see that it will then go, calculations would then go between sheet 4 and sheet 5 like that. Changing the colour on a worksheet is easy as well. These are worksheets, but people also call them tabs as well. If you right click, tab colour, and you can choose any colour you like from here, or more colours on the colour palette there. So let's go for a pink, which may not look that great on the background. When you've got the sheet highlighted, it blends the colour in. When you move away from there, it shows the actual colour. So it is useful to have colours on your tabs, because the amount of times I've gone into spreadsheets and looking for the information on the first tab and then not actually realising, oh, there's actually many more tabs where the information is stored. Another thing you can do on worksheets, you can hide them as well, which might sound quite peculiar at first, but there is reasons why you'd want to hide worksheets, which we go into at a much later date. You don't need to know now, but if you right click, you can hide. Now you can see there's no sheet 2, but at the same time there's no sheet 3 because we deleted that sheet earlier. It doesn't mean that sheet 3 is available to unhide, but you can check if there's any sheets hidden just by right clicking on any of the sheets and then click unhide. If that was grey, it would mean there's no sheets to unhide. But if you click on there, it will show the sheet 2, and then just OK, and it will bring the sheet back. As I said, there are reasons why you'd want to do that, but that would be gone into a later stage. Now, other things you need to know about on Excel is the menu here. So you've got File, and that's quite self-explanatory. This is where you do your saving, your save as, opening workbooks as well. You've got Recent, which is a very handy tool if you forget where your files are, or you've got a really complicated file structure. If you go to Recent, it shows you all of the latest spreadsheets that you've been into. Okay, and then you've got New, and there's Blank Workbook. There's templates you can choose from. There are templates that Excel have created for you, or Microsoft. and there's prints, save and send, as you can save it as an attachment by email. Then you've got the home menu, and each menu brings up this, which is the ribbon. So depending on the menu you choose, you get a different ribbon come up. So home just has the basic options that you would most likely use in Excel. Insert is all about inserting information, inserting data, whether that's pictures, whether that's a graph, word art, you do that in insert. Page layout, again, quite self-explanatory, lays out the page. Formulas, you get to know at a later stage. It gives you some of the formulas here, doesn't give you them all, but yes, that's where you'd find formulas. Data, you find different information. This is where I would say you can get lost sometimes in Excel on this. So the menus are fine, but the data's quite, what does that actually mean? There's so many things. So you will use Excel and you may use a function, and then much later down the line you need to look at that function that you used, and you may end up hunting around looking for it in the ribbon and the menu. So you do need to get used to the menu and the ribbon to see where all the functions of Excel are. As you can see, the spreadsheet is made up of columns, and here we've got A through to AC. Let's make these cells a bit bigger actually, just so we can see. Let's put it up like that. There we go. So we've got A through to R, and we've got rows 1 through to 25. But that's only what you can see on the screen. As far as what's available to you, you've got literally millions, and over 1 million rows, and you've got loads and loads of columns as well. So that's all the information, all the space you've got to work on with inside Excel. Now, rows and columns, you can insert rows, you can delete rows. For example, if I put here technology made clear, which is in a horrible color red, change that to black. Technology made clear. There, see, I've just highlighted that was there. You can see the whole of the words that I've done, because there's nothing in cell E3. But if I then put some information here, like just number 1, then you wouldn't be able to see the rest of technology made clear. So if you go up to the cell there, you can hold down your left mouse button and drag it to what you think it will be. But as you can see, that's gone much bigger than necessary, or you can go much shorter if you want. Or if you want it to fit the exact words, you just double click there and it will automatically fit that cell for you. You can also resize cells that way as well. You could double click as well, and that does that for you. Inserting, so there, if you wanted to insert, you just right click, click insert, and it inserts a cell for you. You can insert a row, and as you can see, when you insert a row, it moves that down. Now you don't need to worry, Excel is clever. Say for example this number 1 was used in a formula here. So say for example here, I just wanted to get the information in that cell, which would bring back number 1. Now you would think, because this is saying equals F4 there, that if we insert here, this would go down a row, so therefore that wouldn't work. But Excel's clever enough, if it didn't do this, it'd be an absolute nightmare. But if you insert a row, it still keeps it, because it's changed that to equals F4, which was there, to equals F5, so it knows where to look. Obviously you can stop it doing that if you need to, but generally speaking, that's what you'd want it to do. So yes, you can easily insert and delete rows in Excel, and it's important to know that, because people get worried about, oh, can I insert rows, can I delete rows? You can, there's not a problem. Obviously if I deleted that row, then that formula would stop working, because you actually are getting rid of the row with the data on. Delete, there you can see it goes reference. Press undo and it will go back one. But I can delete there and it won't have a problem with that formula. I can insert loads of rows here and that formula will still be coming through, because it knows that information is now there. So it's good to know how the rows and columns work, and don't be afraid of working with them. One thing I'd always say with technology, I had a teacher who taught information technology at school, and he was absolutely horrendous. He was a doctor, and he used to let us go on the computers, and whenever he heard a noise, he'd make us all get off the computers. So he made us fear computers rather than making us not fear computers. Absolutely dreadful. So don't ever fear using software. It's the only way you'll learn how to use it. Now another thing in Excel is you've got your rows and your columns, and each row and column has lots of cells attached to them. Now each cell can contain data, as there it's got technology made clear, as there it's got the numerical data of 1, and there it's got a formula, a very simple formula, just seeing what's in that spreadsheet there. Now that's a formula, that's an actual, I've typed in the number there. I could create a formula here, which would be equals that plus that, and there you go, number 2. So that is working from a numerical data you enter and a formula that you've entered, and that's a formula working off a formula. And that's why Excel is so powerful, because you can do multiple calculations, and them calculations can be working off other calculations. It's a really powerful tool, which you'll get to know later down the line. So it's just important to know that all cells contain data, all different types of data. For example, it could be a date for data. E4 plus E4. And there you go, it's added them all up. So it's a very good reason to understand cell referencing, and it's very good that it's linked to the column and the row. But you don't necessarily need to leave it as that. Say for example, this was an extremely important formula that lots of other formulas look at. Would you really want to keep the cell reference as C13? I'd suggest possibly not. So you could put their subtotal formula. Not that you would necessarily use this word, but you could. No, you can't. Okay, so the reason will be for that is that it's had spaces. So subtotal formula, and press return. So yes, you can't have spaces in your cell. So there, as you can see, when you click on there, it's D12, but you go to there and it's subtotal formula. And that is very good to know as well, because you will use that at a later stage. Also, when you have ranges, if I highlight it here to here, that range is C4 to E4. But if I dragged it down, that range would then be C4 to E8. And that's fine. You could have that as a range of C4 to E8, and Excel, if you ever did a formula looking at that range, Excel would look at that range. But with VLOOKUPs, for example, don't know what it is, but VLOOKUPs are not very good when it comes to working with ranges. They can do, and they work absolutely fine, but from past experience, I would always recommend, when using formulas, if you've got a range that you use a lot, to actually define that range. For example, so where we had that cell reference there, which one did we called that one subtotal formula. If you had this range here, which you used a lot, I would suggest changing it there to I don't know, tech data, and then it would always look at that range. You could go on there and it instantly takes you to it, or tech data instantly takes you to it. So it's very good to have when you've got maybe thousands of rows of information and columns. You might have loads of different sheets, so it's very easy to, because you will get to a stage where you're doing formulas, and whenever you do formulas, you shouldn't just trust that it's correct, because the spreadsheet will do it correctly. It's never the computer software that is making a mistake. You know, a lot of people may say, oh, you know, it's the software what's doing it. It's never the software. Well, 99% of the times it's not the software, it's the user. And it's very easy and common to make mistakes when doing calculations. So if your calculation's working off one formula to the next formula to the next formula, you won't know which formula is incorrect. It could be either of them, or it could be all of them. So that's why sometimes it's quite good to name formulas which are quite complex, so you can easily find them just to make sure they're correct. Again, we'll go into this much later at a later stage, but that's the simple layout of Excel. Okay, thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel for extra videos.